Hi, I am Akira Mamizuka, the VP of Technology and Product Operations at LinkedIn. And today, we're here with Sachin Syal in the Ochakde show. Enjoy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Ochakde Show. We're Silicon Valley's first business, tech, and self-improvement podcast for teens, hosted by a teen me. I'm Sachin Syal. I'm a 19-year-old award-winning entrepreneur, podcaster, author, and student from the Bay Area, and I interview remarkable and influential entrepreneurs, executives, investors, leaders, and inspiring individuals from all walks of life, so we can learn from their stories and level up ourselves. And I'm also the co-founder and CMO of 3doshas.com. We're a coaching company transforming lives with 3doshas, ancient science from India. The purpose of this show is to inspire you to go for it, which is what the Punjabi word ochakde means. Today, our very special guest is Akira Mamizuka, who is the VP of Technology and Product Operations, GTM Tech at LinkedIn. Akira is a Latino executive who was born and raised in Brazil. He's been at LinkedIn for 11 years and joined the company in 2014. He's held multiple leadership jobs in go-to-market operations, and in his current job, he's responsible for the technology used by all sales and support teams. He previously worked at McKinsey & Company. He holds a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from University of Campinas and an MBA in general management and corporate finance from the NYU Stern School of Business, and he graduated with distinction in the top 10%. So, Akira, welcome to the Ochakde Show. How are you, and what's new and exciting in your life right now?
Thank you so much for having me, Sachin.
Of course.
Well, what's new exciting in my world? So it's a lot going on in my life right now. So I will share a little bit about my professional life and my personal life.
Sure.
So on the work front, I started a new job in January after almost 12 years. I moved to this new role leading technology and product operations. Like you mentioned, my team is responsible for all technology tools and systems used by the go-to-market teams across sales, customer success, and support.
Yeah.
So I've been very busy ramping in that new role, learning about the space, talking to our sales reps, talking to other companies out there, and it's been really exciting. On my personal life, I am a dad of two kids.
Nice.
Pedro is 13, Laura is 9, and Pedro, he's going to be an 8th grader next year. And not sure if you're aware, but here in San Francisco, you have to apply for high schools, and it's a really complicated process that is very stressful, and we're very busy starting to learn what the process looks like and how we can help him.
I didn't have to apply for my high school. Is it like a private school or a public school, or how does that work?
You have to
Here's
apply both to
Really? I
private
actually did
and
not
public
know
schools.
that.
Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that. Well, Akira, before we get started with the interview, I just want to say I'm very grateful for the opportunity. Thank you for having me here at the LinkedIn SF office in this beautiful studio. It's truly an honor and privilege, and I really appreciate it because when stuff like this happens, it keeps my dream alive. So thank you for that. Let's take it way back. Tell us about your teen years. What were you passionate about and into, and what drew you to tech?
Great. My teen years, so I grew up in Brazil, like you mentioned. I was born and raised in Brazil. And growing up, I grew up in a sort of a middle class family, and I was heading to high school. I decided that I wanted to study something that would allow me to enter the workforce a bit earlier, as soon as I finished high school. So I went and I applied, and I was accepted into what I call in Brazil a technical high school, where you graduate with a technical degree and you can start to work right away. And so I studied a field that is it's called technical in electrician,
Nice.
and and there, that's when I first got in touch with very early days of technology, including coding. I remember I learned to code in a language called machine learning, where you're literally coding using zeros and ones, which is super complicated. But that was my first interaction with technology. And after I graduated from high school, I realized that I would essentially I would be able to better achieve my career, personal objectives if I actually went to college.
Yeah.
And as a 17-year-old deciding to go to college, as you can imagine, this is something that I guess most kids go through. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. All I knew was I was very good with math and numbers, and I had studied what I studied in high school in my technical degree time. So I decided to study electrical engineering
Nice.
in college, and I got into one of the top colleges in Brazil. And but fast forward, it's a 5-year degree, and I hated electrical engineering, and I hated so much that I decided that after I graduated, I decided that I never wanted to work as an engineer in my life. And but then the question is, okay, so what do you want to work for? The good thing is, as an engineer, you can work in many different industries. You don't have
Yeah.
to work as an engineer. And I because I was not certain what I wanted to do in terms of functions or industries, I decided to go into management consulting because that allowed me to try a, a different number of industries and functions. So that was essentially my first step into the professional world after college. So I worked in consulting for 8+ years, and I got to learn a lot in terms of the consulting toolkit, in terms of being data driven, executive communication, problem solving.
Yeah.
That's when I also went to business school. But after 8 years of consulting, I started to feel the need to see the impact of my work. As a consultant, often you produce recommendations, but rarely you see the results, the impact of your work.
Yeah.
So that was the impulse that brought me to LinkedIn. LinkedIn was had just opened in Brazil and Latin America, and I was the first hire running sales operations for the Latin America business, and I was able to bring a lot of my expertise from consulting into LinkedIn, into sales operations. So that's how ended up in technology.
That's amazing. It's a really inspiring story, your upbringing, and also it's really good and important. This is a good lesson for the audience to know what you like and know what you don't like. I think it's really good that you figured out early on you didn't want to do engineering and you had that career pivot. By the way, I'm not just saying this because it's the interview and we're here. LinkedIn is actually my favorite company ever. I use it for everything. It's my favorite social media platform. I love it. So I have a question for you related to LinkedIn. Tell us about your story here at LinkedIn. Can you share some of your favorite memories from the early days up to now? Because you joined pretty early. I think you joined before the Microsoft acquisition, actually.
That's right. I will be 12 years in May, so coming up to 12 years at LinkedIn. And this is my 6th job. So I've had multiple jobs and 3 countries, starting in Brazil, then Ireland, then the United States.
Nice.
And so my career arc at LinkedIn, I'd say there's 2 major arcs. The first half of my career was in regional roles, first Latin America, then Europe, and the second arc was in the U.S. In global roles. So in the first arc of my career, I was running sales operations for regional teams, and I still have very fond memories from those days because you're really working very close with the sales teams. You're moving really fast. You're really accountable for delivering results, for delivering our targets. And back in the day, LinkedIn was a lot smaller than what it is today. So the company was a lot scrappier and a lot faster for us to try and iterate and build things. So one of my earliest and fondest memories at LinkedIn in that first arc of my career, I was in the LATAM business based in São Paulo. And one of the first things I realized as I started to analyze our customer base, our customer data, was that LinkedIn was overly represented. We only had enterprise customers, so large companies. We didn't have any mid-market or small business as customers. And the main reason, as I started to do interviews with sales reps and customers, was our pricing was too high. We sell in US dollars in Brazil, although Brazil, the currency is Brazilian reais. So our product was extremely expensive for a mid-market company or even SMB to purchase. So one of my first initiatives was to create what we called Brazil-only SKU of our recruiter product, which still exists today.
Nice.
And that was really tailored for the mid-market and small businesses in Brazil. And today, I think almost 90% of all the seats sold in Brazil are Brazil-only. So that was a really fond memory I have from that first arc of my career. And the second arc of my career started here in San Francisco 7 years ago. And you mentioned the Microsoft acquisition. LinkedIn had just been acquired by Microsoft.
Yep.
And I took my first global role leading sales operations for talent solutions globally. And as part of the Microsoft acquisition, LinkedIn, we had to transform into a much more financially disciplined company because that's what Microsoft expects from us.
Yeah.
And in that journey, we had to be a lot more thoughtful in terms of where we invest our resources, where we're going to grow headcount, what's the return on those investments. So a lot of of the sort of the themes that permeated the second arc of my career was around how to make sure that we hit our targets, our plans, both in terms of revenue growth, but also expenses. And so we went from when Microsoft acquired LinkedIn, we had negative margins, and today we're one of the most profitable tech companies out there. And then there was a lot of initiatives, projects to create standard processes, create global methodologies to plan, to allocate resources, to make sure that we were growing and we were financially disciplined. So that was a little bit of the second arc of my career here.
I would have loved to have been at LinkedIn so early. I feel like it would be so fun. I'm a big fan of Reid Hoffman, your CEO, Ryan, and all the people. The story is just so amazing. Even as a podcaster, how much LinkedIn has helped me. One of the biggest ways I should get my guests is through LinkedIn, or cold emailing and cold calling, but LinkedIn has been very helpful for me. And I'm curious, for teens and young college students wondering about your role, can you explain what it means to be the VP of Technology and Product Operations at LinkedIn? And what does go-to-market tech mean, and why is it important in the tech world?
Great. So for those who don't know, actually LinkedIn is very known for our LinkedIn.com platform,
Yeah.
where members come to grow professionally, to find jobs. So that's what we're known for. And so the products that are most known for are the premium subscriptions. Often people associate LinkedIn with our premium subscription business, but that business is probably less than 20% of our revenue. 80% of our revenue comes from three B2B businesses, where we have sales teams selling to customers solutions around advertising, around sales solutions and talent solutions. That's where 80% of our revenue comes from. So for every one of those three B2B businesses, we have large sales teams with large support teams as well, that we call that infrastructure the go-to-market infrastructure. So for every single one of those teams, for them to do their jobs, they use technology, they use systems, they use tools, they use dashboards, they use data to do their jobs.
Yeah.
And so my team is responsible for either building those tools or partnering with our R&D team to build those tools for the go-to-market team. So that's essentially what we do here in my current job in technology and product operations.
That's amazing. LinkedIn is very lucky to have you. Thanks to amazing executives like yourself, you keep the company thriving. When do you feel that people should create a LinkedIn account? And how can they actively use the platform? And how can this be crucial and beneficial for young people that want to be successful founders or get jobs in Silicon Valley?
I think folks should create an account early.
Yeah.
And I'm talking specifically sometime in high school, but definitely in college years.
Yep.
And start to create your professional brand in terms of where you went to school, in terms of any sort of nonprofit work that you've done, in terms of the skills that you have, the experiences that you have, technologies that you grasp. So starting to build that professional brand, but also your professional network in terms of connecting with other professionals, following influencers in the platform as well. I think LinkedIn is a great place for us to start the journey of creating your professional brand and network. And as a young professional, as folks get out of college, their number one challenge is to land a job. And today, in my days, there was no LinkedIn. So
Yeah.
to land a job, you had to go into company websites and apply and go through an application process. Today, a lot of that still exists, but today a lot of that moved to LinkedIn, where
Yeah.
folks apply to roles out of college. And as folks know better than I do, the job market for college grads is really competitive right now. And that's not only in the US, it's in the whole world. So LinkedIn is a really powerful way for college grads to differentiate,
Yeah.
to build their brand, to create connections, and also to find referrals to jobs. One of the things that our internal data shows is that when you apply to a job with a referral, you are 6 times more likely to land a job. So
Yeah.
that's another way that LinkedIn can be super helpful for college grads.
I feel like there's so many things you can use it for. If you're a content creator, you can use it to make your posts like I do. If you're a student, you can use it to get jobs. And I think it's probably the best way to do networking ever, in my opinion. In my experience, it's been amazing.
Well, that's how we got connected.
Exactly. That's actually how we got connected. I connected with you. No, I sent you a cold email, and then we connected on LinkedIn. Then I met you on Teams, and then many months later, we're here. Look at how beautiful that is, all thanks to LinkedIn. I'm curious. Can you define your definition of personal branding in today's digital world, and why do you think it's important, in your opinion?
Great. And I talked briefly about the importance of your personal brand, but also not only in terms of your own professional brand, but also lots of people, they want to venture as entrepreneurs. And LinkedIn is also a great place for entrepreneurs to, beyond building their personal brand, to build their enterprise brand and also grow their business with LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Not only in terms of branding, but also in terms of lead generation. LinkedIn is a wonderful platform for startups, for new companies to find business using LinkedIn. So it's really important to think about LinkedIn as in different ways. There's a way to build your personal brand, your personal network, but also for you to start and grow your business with LinkedIn. In terms of personal brand specifically, what I like to say is a great product without a great brand is really wasted potential.
It's true.
Yeah, because you need both to be successful. But at the same time, if you only build a great brand but you don't have a great product, that's an empty promise.
True. Yeah.
So maybe my number one advice is you should first invest in your personal growth and then invest in your professional brand.
I agree. I think, Akira, I have to tell you, one of my favorite things about LinkedIn, especially as a content creator, is the fact that I find this so awesome because it helps me with getting my posts and get more views. When someone likes one of your posts or comments, and their network will see it. Like if you were to like one of my posts, then people from your network would see my post. They'll say, Akira Mamizuka likes this. And that's been really helpful for me. I'm also curious, you brought up how it's hard for people to get jobs after graduating, how the market's tough right now. What do you look for when you hire top talent?
I would say that as a leader, and actually I learned this from another leader, as a
Nice.
leader, the most important thing you do is hiring. Because if you hire great people, you can mess up with your job and the people will make it up for you.
Nice.
So that's table stakes. The number one most important thing that you do as a leader is hiring. In terms of what I look for when I'm hiring someone, it comes down to three things. One is problem solving. Can this person solve really, really complicated, complex problems? So I call this problem solving horsepower.
Yeah.
The second piece is around leadership and personal impact. Can this person influence and rally a group of people to collectively achieve a common goal? And the third trait I hire for is on communications. Can this person explain in simple way a really complex idea? Can this person sell really well a very complex idea? That's another thing that's really important when I'm hiring for someone.
Yeah, it's spot on. I think right now a lot of people are just kind of like frustrated or confused because it's really tough to get a job right now. But I think the points you said are really spot on. I'm curious about a question based on maybe other content creators that are watching or influencers watching right now. What can they do on the platform to help their voice get to a lot of people? And then also, are there any tips, tricks, and strategies to become a top voice?
That's one of the most asked questions at LinkedIn. I receive this question a lot. How do you become a top voice?
Yeah, you gotta get that blue. It's invitation only, so.
I don't know the stats, but I can say for sure it's a small fraction of a 1% of our members that are top voices.
Yeah.
So it's a really, really selective program. And I don't have the secret sauce, but I know a few things that definitely influence and help people become top voices. One is to be authentic and show up in a really unique way in the platform. Number two is to create original content. So coming up with fresh ideas, your ideas in the platform is also a huge differentiator. something else that I see other top voices do well is they network with other influencers.
Yeah.
They know what they're talking about. They react to posts from other top influencers. I think you just gave an example of the network effects of that. So knowing who are the other influencers in that same space and knowing what they're talking about and commenting on that and then creating content that is complementary to what other creators are creating is really important.
Yeah.
And then another tip is in LinkedIn, we have great analytics tools that whenever you write a post, you can actually see
Yep. I use it all the time.
really great stats about their posts, like
Yeah.
how many people you reach, etc. So we start to understand what type of content resonates with your audience, and then you can double down on the things that matter most to your audience.
Do you have any insider way to get me to become a top voice?
Unfortunately, no.
No, I'm just messing. I guess that could have been the April Fool's thing or something like that. I was trying to think of a way to prank you, but I couldn't think of something. What's next, man? What's next for Akira Mamizuka? What are some of your future plans and goals?
Great. I'll go back to the beginning that I shared something on the work side, something on the professional side. On the work side, this space of technology for go-to-market, technology for our sellers, is evolving really quickly in the whole industry. So it's a really exciting time to be working go-to-market technology. And specifically, we're seeing two sort of massive opportunities, and I'm calling them tectonic changes, tectonic shifts. The first one is it became so cheap and fast to write code, write software, that now there's so many startups building products for this space, for go-to-market technology.
Yeah.
So literally every day there are startups reaching out to me, knocking on my door to pitch their product, which is super exciting. And there's a lot of great innovation happening. And I'm actually spending a lot of my time talking to startups and seeing what's out there. And the other major tectonic shift that is happening in the industry is with AI, there's now an opportunity for us to enable what I call full stack builders, which is internal folks at LinkedIn with some technical knowledge, but don't need a ton of technical knowledge that they can use tools like such as Claude Code to build internal applications that massive increase in productivity of our internal go-to-market teams. So that's another exciting transformation that is happening in the space. So those are two things top of mind on the work side. And the personal side, I guess, in terms of looking ahead, is long-term plans. Is that okay to talk about long-term plans?
Of course.
I think when I thought about this, I still have strong connections with Brazil. My family is still there, lots of friends still there. But my kids are here. So as a retirement plan, I think it would be lovely to spend half of the year in Brazil, half the year in the US.
That
So
sounds like a good plan.
having 2 summers a year and split my time, I think that would be a lovely, long-term plan.
That'd be amazing, actually. If I'm ever in Brazil, we got to hang out together.
Absolutely.
And I love the way, by the way, how you say tectonic shifts. That's just amazing. It's such a great way to explain it. Akira, as we wrap up here, these are the last 2 questions that I asked to all my guests. The first one is, what's your all-time best advice for teens and young people in college?
I think my best advice, and this is something I'm influenced by one of my business school teachers, Scott Galloway.
The legend, the GOAT. I love him.
One of his main career advices for young professionals or folks still in college is this advice of following your passions is flawed, is incorrect. You should actually find something you're really good at,
Yeah.
and then you double down it. Then you become really, really good at it. You master that skill or that profession or that function, and that's what leads to passion, not the other way around. Because if you try to follow your passion, first of all, folks have many passions. I have many different passions. It'd be really hard to find follow one of them. But the biggest risk is sometimes you're passionate about something that you're not good at. I'm passionate about music. I would be a terrible musician.
Why do you think that?
I think there's not a correlation between passion and proficiency, skill.
I see. No, I mean, like for the music though, why do you think you're not a good musician? Do you do instruments? Do you sing or?
I've tried to sing in karaoke parties and was
It
never
doesn't make
happy with my singing. Doesn't prevent me from singing though. And I've never had the chance to play instruments, but that probably is a frustration of mine. So I'm trying to invest in my kids to become, to learn to play as many instruments as they can.
My brother, who you just met, he plays the tabla and sitar, which are Indian instruments, and he's also into classical Indian music and singing and stuff. So he's become really passionate about that. But I love the advice you shared for my audience. Last question of the day, Akira, is what was your favorite part of being a guest on the Ochakde show today?
I think first of all is to be able to connect with a younger audience, with teens. When I was growing up in Brazil, I didn't have this type of advice or mentoring.
Yeah.
And I think looking back, I could have used some advice and mentoring in my earlier days as I was making really important career decisions. So having the opportunity to be here talking to you and talking to your broader audience is really special.
It was amazing. It was a really great conversation. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot, and this is also such a beautiful studio, so I really enjoyed that too. Guys, that was Akira Mamizuka, VP at LinkedIn. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.